I stopped counting how many times I caught my reflection in a shop window and didn't recognize the woman looking back. Not because I'd aged, I expected that, but because my hair was aging me faster than my face ever could. Today I'm walking you through the exact hairstyles quietly adding years to how you're perceived, and the specific swaps that hand those years right back. These aren't dramatic makeovers. They're small, precise corrections most women over 50 have never had explained to them properly. I researched the worst style and beauty mistakes and the best fixes for women over 50 so you get real results, fast. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. I cover this every week. Part 1. The length that's pulling your whole face down. Here's something almost nobody tells women outright. Hair that falls past the collarbone doesn't read as youthful past 50. It reads as heavy. Long hair pulls at the roots, drags the whole face downward. And without the density you had at 30, it goes thin and flat instead of flowing. Colette found this out the hard way. She kept her hair long since her 20s, convinced it was her thing, and couldn't understand why people kept guessing her age 10 years higher than it was. The hair itself wasn't the problem. The weight distribution was. The fix is a shoulder grazing cut with internal layering built from the cheekbone down, not a blunt chop, a graduated shape that lets movement happen where the face needs lift. Ask your stylist for this exact phrase. Point cut internal layers starting at the cheekbone, with the perimeter left soft, not blunt. That phrasing matters. A blunt perimeter on shorter length can look just as heavy as long hair did. The layering is what does the actual work. Here's why it works structurally. When hair is cut in one uniform length, it moves as one solid mass. There's no play, no bounce, no light catching different lengths. The moment you introduce point cut layers, hair starts moving in sections. Light hits at different depths. The eye reads movement as youth almost instinctively. It's one of the fastest visual cues we register, even before we consciously notice hairstyle at all. Colette's stylist took nearly 4 inches off and layered the rest. The first thing Colette noticed wasn't the length, it was how much lighter her head felt. Actually lighter. That extra weight had been pulling at her scalp all along, which over years can even affect how hair sits at the root. The result showed up within a week, and it wasn't subtle. People at her book club, women she'd known for a decade, asked if she'd done something different without being able to name what. That's the tell of a genuinely good cut. Nobody points at the haircut. They just notice you look brighter, more awake, more present in your own face. That's the actual goal here, and it's rarely the goal people think they're chasing when they ask for something younger. There's a second layer to this, literally. Where the layering starts matters as much as that it exists. Too high near the chin, and you get triangular volume that looks dated fast. Think early 2000s shag gone wrong. Too low, past the jaw, and the layering barely registers at all, defeating the purpose. Cheekbone level start is the sweet spot because it opens the face exactly where mature skin tends to soften first, along the mid-cheek and jawline. The layers create an optical lift precisely where gravity has been working against you. Diane, a longtime subscriber, wrote in describing the same transformation. She'd been told for years she had too much hair to layer, which is a myth stylists sometimes repeat when they're not confident with texture work. Thick hair benefits from layering more than thin hair does. There's more material to create movement with, not less. If you've been told this, it's worth finding a stylist who disagrees. Before. Hair falling flat and uniform past the collarbone. Weight dragging at the roots. No visible movement when she turned her head. After. Shoulder length with cheekbone start internal layers. Hair that moves as a unit instead of a slab. Visible lift at the crown from the reduced weight alone. Two women could have the exact same hair color, same face shape, same age, and the one with proper layering will read as 5 to 7 years younger in a single glance. That's not an exaggeration. That's just how the eye processes movement versus mass. But length isn't the only culprit hiding in plain sight. There's a second mistake that's even more common than this one. And it's sitting right at the front of your face every single day. Which is exactly where we're headed next. Part 2. The fringe mistake nobody warns you about. A heavy, blunt fringe cut straight across the brow line is one of the fastest ways to add a decade to your face after 50, and almost nobody who's wearing one realizes it's the fringe doing it, not their skin. Marguerite had worn the same thick, straight-across bangs since her 30s. She loved how they framed her eyes. What she didn't clock was that a blunt fringe sits like a hard horizontal line above softening features. And hard horizontal lines are exactly what an aging face doesn't need more of. Skin softens with age. Bone structure becomes gentler, less defined at the edges. A blunt fringe fights that softness with a rigid, ruler straight line. And the contrast makes the whole face look more tired by comparison, not less. It's not that the fringe itself is unflattering in isolation. It's that it's working against everything else happening in the face. The fix is a curtain fringe, parted at the center and swept to either side, with the pieces landing just past the temples rather than stopping mid-forehead. Tell your stylist exactly this. Curtain fringe with soft point cut ends, parted center, length grazing the temple. The point cutting at the ends matters as much as the shape. It breaks up any remaining hard edge, so even the fringe itself moves rather than sitting like a static block. Here's the mechanism behind why this specific shape works so well. A curtain fringe creates a soft diagonal line instead of a horizontal one, and diagonal lines read as lifted, open, alert. It also leaves a sliver of forehead visible at the center part, which subtly elongates the face, something a full blunt fringe eliminates entirely by covering the whole brow line edge to edge. That small strip of visible skin does more optical work than most women expect from something so minor. Marguerite was skeptical going in. She told her stylist she'd tried a side-swept fringe once in her 40s and hated it. It kept falling in her eyes and never looked intentional. Her stylist explained the difference. A side-swept fringe is angled entirely to one side and has nothing to hold its shape, so it drifts all day. A curtain fringe is cut with weight distributed evenly from a center part, so both sides frame the face symmetrically and stay in place without product. The change in her face was immediate, and it wasn't just about the fringe shape, it was about what it revealed. With the blunt line gone, her eyebrows became visible again, and eyebrows do enormous work in framing the eyes and signaling expression. A blunt fringe sitting right above them essentially mutes half the face's natural communication. Once Marguerite's brows were visible, her whole expression read as more animated, more present, without her changing anything about how she actually moved her face. There's a detail most fringe conversations skip entirely. Fringe length has to be reassessed as hair texture changes with age. Hair often becomes finer and grows more slowly in your 60s and 70s than it did decades earlier, which means a fringe cut at one length can start behaving differently within a few months, sitting heavier, losing its shape faster. Marguerite's stylist recommended a light trim every 5 to 6 weeks specifically to maintain the curtain shape, rather than letting it grow into something closer to the blunt style she'd left behind. Before, a thick, straight-across fringe sitting rigid above the brow, adding a hard line to a softening face. After, a center-parted curtain fringe with point-cut ends grazing the temples, opening the forehead and letting the eyebrows do their natural expressive work again. It's a 5-minute conversation with a stylist that changes how your entire face reads within a single appointment. Now here's the one almost every woman over 60 has been told is safe. And it might be the biggest culprit of all. Part 3. Why safe short hair can backfire. There's a specific kind of short haircut that gets recommended to women over 60 constantly, usually with good intentions. A close, uniform crop with almost no length variation anywhere on the head. It's marketed as easy and low maintenance, and structurally, it's often doing the opposite of what it promises. Rosalind went in for exactly this cut after her stylist suggested it would be simpler to manage. Within 2 months, she was back in the chair asking why it looked flatter every time she washed it. The problem is structural, not about length itself. Short hair cut with zero graduation has nowhere to create lift, because every strand is exactly the same length from root to tip. There's no shorter layer underneath pushing the top layer up and out. Add hair that's naturally become finer with age, and you get a cut that lies completely flat against the scalp within hours of styling. The opposite of the effortless result it was sold as. The fix isn't more length. It's graduation, a technique where the underneath layers are cut progressively shorter than the top ones, building structure into the shape itself rather than relying on product to fake it. Ask for this specifically. Graduated crop with root lift built into the cut, longer pieces left at the crown. That crown detail is what most generic shortcuts skip entirely, and it's the single biggest driver of whether the style holds shape past the first hour. Here's the mechanism. Graduation works like internal scaffolding. The shorter underlayers physically prop the longer top layers away from the scalp, creating volume that doesn't depend on backcombing or heavy product to survive the day. It's an engineering solution, not a styling trick. Once that structure exists in the cut itself, even fine, thinning hair holds noticeably more shape, because the lift is built into the geometry rather than fought for every morning with a round brush. Rosalind's stylist also raised something worth repeating here. Fine hair reflects light differently depending on how it's layered. A flat crop absorbs light across one uniform plane, and can look almost matte, even dull. A graduated cut creates multiple small planes at slightly different angles, and light catches each one differently, which is part of why graduated short hair photographs and reads as noticeably shinier, even with identical hair health underneath. Within 3 weeks of her recut, Rosalind noticed something she hadn't expected. She was reaching for styling product far less often, not more. The structure built into the cut was doing work her old routine had relied on mousse and heat to fake, and doing it more consistently. Her mornings got shorter, not longer, which is the actual definition of low maintenance that the original safe crop had only promised on paper. There's a common misconception worth naming directly. Graduation is sometimes assumed to only suit thick hair, the same myth that follows layering around in longer styles. It's backwards. Fine hair benefits from graduation more, precisely because it has less natural body to rely on. Thick hair can sometimes hold shape through sheer volume alone. Fine hair needs the structure the cut provides, or it has nothing else propping it up. Before, a uniform, flat crop lying against the scalp with no shape variation, requiring heavy product just to hold minimal lift. After, a graduated crop with crown height buildup, structural volume that survives a full day without touch-ups, and visibly more light reflection throughout. The difference isn't cosmetic. It's the entire physics of how the haircut behaves against gravity, and it's the reason one easy shortcut looks tired by noon while another looks the same at 6 p.m. as it did at 8 a.m. There's one more mistake left, and it's not about the cut at all. It's about something almost every stylist gets asked to do without ever being told why it backfires. Part 4. The color placement mistake that undoes everything else. Here's something that surprises most women. You can have a perfect cut, perfect layering, perfect fringe shape, and still look older than you need to because of exactly one thing. Where your color sits relative to your face. Diane, the same subscriber from earlier, had done everything right with her cut. Her color was the last piece she hadn't questioned, because she'd been using the same all-over single shade for over a decade. Flat, single-process color does something specific and unhelpful as skin matures. It creates one uniform tone with no variation, which flattens the face the same way a blunt fringe does, just with pigment instead of a hairline. Skin tone shifts subtly with age, often becoming slightly more uneven or muted. A single flat hair color sitting next to that skin has nothing to soften the transition, so the contrast reads harsher than it would against hair with any tonal movement. The fix is face framing dimension. Subtle lighter pieces placed specifically around the hairline near the temples and jaw, not all over the head. Tell your stylist this exactly. Money piece foils 2 shades lighter, concentrated at the temple and jaw only. This isn't a full highlight service. It's targeted, minimal, and precise, which is exactly why it works better than an all-over lightning job would. The mechanism is about where the eye lands first. When someone looks at your face, their gaze goes to the areas immediately framing it before anything else. Temples, jawline, the hair closest to the skin. Placing lighter pieces exactly there creates a soft gradient between hair and skin instead of a hard line of contrast. It's the same optical softening a good fringe achieves, just done with color instead of shape, and the two techniques often work best layered together. Diane's stylist used a technique called balayage placement specifically at the part line and temples, hand-painted rather than foiled through the whole head, so the lightness looked like it had grown in naturally rather than been applied. That distinction matters enormously. All-over highlights can look done. Strategic face framing pieces look like the way your hair naturally catches sun, which reads as effortless rather than obviously colored. The result showed up the moment Diane looked in the mirror under the salon lights, before she'd even left the chair. Her whole face looked less flat, more dimensional, and she said this herself, less like a photograph and more like a face. That's a strange thing to say about your own reflection, but it captures exactly what uniform color removes and dimension restores. The small variations that make a face look alive rather than static. There's a maintenance detail worth knowing before you book this. Because the lightened pieces are concentrated only at the temples and jaw, regrowth is far less noticeable than with all-over color. You're not chasing a visible root line across the whole head, just softly touching up 2 small zones every 10 to 12 weeks. It's less upkeep than the flat single-process color it replaces, not more, which surprises most women expecting a more complicated color routine. Before, flat, uniform single-process color with zero tonal variation, sitting harshly against maturing skin. After, precise face framing dimension at the temples and jaw, softening the transition between hair and skin, and making the whole face red as more alive. For fixes for completely different mechanisms, length, fringe shape, graduation, and color placement. And every one of them works the same way. Not by hiding your age, by stopping the hair from working against the face you actually have. You now know exactly what to say in the chair. Cheekbone start layers instead of flat length, a curtain fringe instead of a blunt line, graduation instead of a flat crop, and money piece color instead of all over flat tone. 4 specific phrases, for real conversations with your stylist, and none of it requires starting over from scratch. That's the part most women don't realize going in. You're not undoing your hair. You're just correcting the details that were quietly working against you. Which one of these 4 are you booking first? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. Next week I'm breaking down the skincare routine mistakes that pair with these same haircuts and quietly add years right alongside them. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I'll see you in the next one.